Hello and welcome back to another Norland news video. The first big patch since patch 26 on November 19th has been released to the unstable branch on Friday. We also haven't gone over patch 29 or patch 30 yet, but that's because they were more of an interim update before this one came out and are largely balanced tweaks. The meat of this video will be talking about the city walls, their functionality, what can be changed or improved, and what we can expect to see in the future. This is a massive change, and I don't think it is an exaggeration to say that I believe it will change the way we play this game forever. Naturally, I can only give so much information in a video like this, so I highly recommend jumping into a game as soon as possible to test it for yourself. What I can do is break down how I believe the developers have done with the implementation of the update and giving my best assessment of how much of a game changer it really is. Just a final note before we get started, if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell icon for more news and gameplay videos, as it really helps us grow our little community here on our corner of the internet. As always, I'll put a link in the description to full patch notes on Steam for all of the updates covered today in case you want to read along. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Patch 29 limits the armies the AI will create to 40 to 50 soldiers when playing on easy mode, to allow newer players some more peace while learning the ropes. In addition, a controversial change was made that gives lords a negative thought and social opinion about their hunting partner if a hunt fails. This will be fine in time when they remove hunts failing, just because one of the participants was too slow to arrive at the hunting spot because of old age or a variety of other reasons, but is a pretty big hurdle to using hunts for opinion boosts currently. AI crossbowmen also appear to have been buffed when not playing on easy mode, with an additional equipment tier for them once their host city reaches 60 population. AI also rebuilds weakened armies much quicker, at a rate of 4 soldiers per day. The knowledge trader will now show up after 3 other unique guests have, but bring fewer useful books. Training ground experience gain has been nerfed to make real combat a better way to raise your warrior strength. Patch 30 reworked the neighboring guest system slightly. Guests will reveal their intentions after arriving, so you can choose how to handle their presence. There are also several new and modified roles such as sociable, duelist, provocateur, manipulator, gambler, seducer, puppeteer, and enlightener. The developers declined to specify how all of these function specifically, but most are self-explanatory. With that all out of the way, we can focus on the walls update, which is huge. The biggest problem right out of the gate is the large amount of wood you'll be forced to invest if you want to make use of them. Gates require 75 wood, defensive towers, which are separate from archer towers, require a further 75 wood and 5 iron each, and each square of wall requires a further 3 wood. This worked out to probably at least 4 to 500 wood, plus around 10 iron to properly gate my test city to allow lumberjacks and hunters to go outside and to have decent protection in case of attacks. It also isn't accounting for the possibility of attacks causing wall sections or gates to be burnt and needing repair, or destroyed outright. That said, the system feels pretty great. If you make use of surrounding terrain such as mountainous areas, you can minimize the amount of walls you use and make a nice looking city that feels much more your own creation instead of a collection of randomly assorted buildings. The walls, gates, and towers themselves also look incredible and feel grand in scale. The placement system also works particularly well. One thing that I like is that as you get close to obstacles, they light up in yellow, which I hope they expand to the main building system in time as it makes things easier to plan. Back to the resources for a second, it is a massive investment, and I don't expect most players to be able to make heavy use of this addition, at least until the mid-game when you are already expanding, which makes city defenses less of an issue anyways. The alternative right now is playing in an easier start location with more wood and a lot of lumberjacks to produce the necessary resources for a more defensive or even a tall type of a playstyle. I hope that the developers will consider reducing the overall resource cost here in some way. Trade routes could go a long way to getting the wood you need, but right now it feels like the amount required for walls is going to make it an endgame, fun to have, and not necessarily something born from necessity. All of that being said, this is a mostly flawless implementation of a mechanic most of us have been waiting for many months. There isn't a lot to really add here besides the resource sync, which is a good idea, but could maybe be tweaked before releasing to the public. Without a doubt, this is a 10 out of 10 update, which I don't hand out lightly, as you all probably know if you've been following these updates for a while. I would prefer less resource costs, but I will also very happily cut off my arm for these magnificent walls. With my opinions out of the way, let's talk AI a little bit. As of now, walls are player-only structures. This means you will not see them when you are attacking a city, which makes sense since you are not really attacking the interior of a city at this point. This appears to be the next step for the developers who want to allow AI to construct walls. This inevitably means that we would likely be attacking cities when this edition is completed, although I can foresee an interim period where we can see the walls on the horizon of our attacks that we can't yet breach, which would also be a nice aesthetic touch. They also plan to introduce new threats to make wall buildings feel worth building, which could mean more bandit attacks, or perhaps even random raids that show no previous world map activity. Either of these could change the game substantially, but they could also be painful for newer players. Finally, they plan to modify map politics and reintroduce attacks that have no warning. One of the frequent criticisms I've heard about the game more recently is the trend toward making things easier on the whole, and it sounds to me that the developer may be reversing course on this a little bit. The last 3 patches really feel like a shift to preparing us for what will be an increase in difficulty, but also an increase in the ways in which we can deal with this hardship. Just as a last note, the developer also notes that they are preparing puppet state mechanics and general politics and expansions, which is extremely exciting. The next few months may truly become the golden age of Norland, and I am so here for it. For now, praise and slandering of neighbors has been allowed as an action you can take with kings who are visiting your province while in the local map. That's about it for me in this one, but just a last reminder that there is a link in the description for all of these patch notes. It's an interesting read, and I think it's worthwhile to know the developers' thoughts from their own words on how they are envisioning the future of the game. On a final note, I will ask you guys for your input. What are your thoughts so far on the Walls update? I know there are a lot of wish list items from the viewers and the games community at large, so also let me know what you think should be a prioritized edition in the near future. So as always, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.